Coming up next is a really, really great talk about how to exploit your digital assets in the most sensible way. And please, it's called How to Get Crypto Rich and Avoid Crypto Regret. And please welcome on stage Cristian Ulloa. Sorry, Cristian, if I've butchered your name there. CEO at Liquid Loans. Thank you. Put your hands together for Cristian.
Did your best. Let's see, where have we got? Well, good morning, folks. My name's Cristian Ulloa. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Liquid Loans. We actually help people to avoid making the biggest and the dumbest mistake in crypto, and that is selling away your future wealth. If you've ever sold your bags far too early, you kind of know and then regret it later, this particular presentation is going to be of interest to you. Now, we've all heard crypto is full of a whole bunch of bittersweet stories. Right? Ironically, it's not the losses that haunt us. It's actually the victories that we abandon far too soon. They're the ones that cause us the most pain. I'll tell you a little story. Back in 2015, a really good friend of mine, she actually sold 20 Bitcoin. At the time, it was worth around $250 each. Now, the reason she did it, she needed to pay off her motor vehicle loan. At the time, it felt like a massive win. She cleared her $5,000 debt, and she slept a hell of a lot better that night. But now, let's fast forward to today. That one decision alone cost her over $1 million in potential gains. And because she's an Australian citizen, the government also taxed her for the privilege. So really, it wasn't a great outcome at all. So in summary, she lost the asset, she lost any potential price upside, and she even got to pay the government some tax along the way. And that all happened in that one fateful move. Now, of course, that decision wasn't just about her paying off a car loan. It was about locking in short-term gains at the expense of acquiring and accumulating long-term wealth. And that's, unfortunately, that is the trade so many people make. Not because they're dumb, but because they think it's their only option. And we've all done something like that, haven't we? Sold too soon, taken profits, felt super smart until we run the numbers in the future. Now, how most people lose out in crypto is not because they picked the wrong asset, it's because they sell the right ones far too soon. Let me ask a question. Who wishes they'd bought Bitcoin at under $1,000? Now, who actually did? You lucky, lucky individual. Now, in addition to that, though, how many of you ended up selling it for much less than its current worth? Yeah. That one really hurts, right? I know I did exactly the same. We came in for life-changing money and got emotionally caught up, chasing profits, buying the next crazy meme coin, and hoping it all goes to the moon. Well, that's our first welcome to crypto. And okay, that's what we're about to fix today. So what is that mindset that most of us carry? Well, let's be real. Most of us don't come into crypto with any long-term plan. We came in for the same reason. And typically, as I've said, it's to make life-changing money and to do it really, really fast. How many times have we heard, buy low, sell high, get filthy rich, then we hopefully rinse and repeat? It always seems so simple, am I right? It hardly ever is. We call ourselves investors, but most of us act like traders. We're chasing the next pump, we're trying to time the top, watching influencer after influencer, flipping coins, and we're telling ourselves we have some sort of unique edge on the market. And we start to follow chart art like it's some sort of religion, and we're always hoping to time the top. Hardly ever happens. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people who try and outsmart the market generally get outplayed by it, right? That's the reality. What happens is you sell too early. Depending on your jurisdiction, you may end up having to pay tax on those gains. And unfortunately, you miss the next big moves. Then you watch the same asset that you actually believe in explode in value from the sidelines. Not because you didn't believe in it, but because you thought selling was the only way to win. You see, selling early isn't taking profits, it's surrendering away your future wealth. Some assets in crypto, not all, they're not meant to be sold. They're meant to be held and they're meant to be used. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the mindset shift. It's not about trading any harder or more often, it's about thinking longer term. And once you see this particular strategy, you can't unsee it. So here's the question most people never seem to ask, and that is, what if you didn't have to sell your crypto to access its value? What if you could keep your upside and still access value for your assets? Now, the reality is that's not a dream. That's already possible right now. But most people never consider this option. Why? Because we've all been conditioned to believe that the only way to win is when you hit the sell button. So we sell early, we take profits, and then we hope to start again. Meanwhile, smart money does something completely different. They hold, they borrow, and they unlock wealth to build more wealth with. They stay exposed to the upside whilst they're unlocking the value that they need. Now, some people call this the never selling strategy. That would be me. Others call it the delayed gratification playbook. Either way, it changes the whole sell for profits mindset. Because in crypto, wealth isn't made by selling an appreciating asset. It's actually made by holding and unlocking its value. And the reality is, this isn't just a DeFi strategy. This particular philosophy and approach has been around for hundreds of years. You never sell your best assets, you borrow against them. So what happens in traditional financial borrowing? You go to the bank, you beg the bank manager for some money, you share all your personal information, including your shoe size, you sign a whole bunch of paperwork, you pay interest on the debt, and the banks, they control your repayment terms and they effectively control whether or not you're going to receive the loan. Now let's change all of that. In DeFi, you're bringing the asset. It's your valuable crypto. You're going to use that as collateral and you're going to lock it up. And then you borrow against it. And here's the thing, it comes at no interest. No credit checks, no repayment schedules. So you stay in complete control, you stay anonymous, and best of all, you avoid dealing with some pesky bank manager sitting behind a desk deciding if you're going to be approved for the loan. It's all about codes, it's about the rules, not rulers. You pay a small one-time fee, so there is a fee up front, you hold your position, and you get access to real liquidity without ever selling a single token. You're not exiting your position, you're not giving up any upside, you're just putting your assets to work, and in my opinion, honestly, it's probably hands down the most unknown use case in all of crypto. Here's another quick example. Let's say you bought 10 Ethereum at $200 each. Anyone remember those days? 10 ETH, $200 each, $2,000 worth of ETH. Now let's say ETH runs up to $2,000 a token. Now your Ethereum holdings, they're worth a massive $20,000. But you need to access $12,000. Maybe a life event, maybe you're getting married, maybe you're getting divorced, maybe for a business opportunity, whatever happens to come up in life. So what do? You mistakenly think you need to sell some of your Ethereum to cover that particular amount. It feels fine up until the day that Ethereum hits $4,000. Now that 6 ETH that you've just sold would have been worth $24,000. It's completely gone. And depending on where you live, you probably paid tax on the sale. And that's double the loss. And it's totally and completely unnecessary. Now imagine a completely different move. You don't sell. You lock up your Ethereum and you borrow the $12,000. You still own the ETH, you still ride any potential upside, and you don't trigger a taxable event. You have unlocked the value without giving up the assets that's gaining in value. That's the smart play. That's never selling. It's not a trade. It's not some sort of a gamble. It's just a system that's built around code. Selling your crypto is a little bit like chopping down an apple tree to eat one apple. It kind of feels like a win until you've realized what you've just given up. And once you've understood this, you start thinking very, very differently. This isn't some abstract theory. I've seen what happens to people who sell too soon. Not just in the charts, not just online, but in real life. People I know, like that friend of mine. And yes, I've made that mistake too. It's not just numbers on a screen, it's the missed opportunities to build real long-term wealth. It's watching the thing that you actually believed in take off without you. I remember watching a chart run. I won't say which one, but the same one that I just sold out of. And all I could think of was, oh my goodness, that could have been mine. If only I just held on. It's total, complete, utter regret. That feeling, it doesn't go away very fast, right? It stays with you, it lingers. And certainly that's why this particular strategy matters to me, because most people aren't shown this alternative. They're just told, how many times do we hear it? We hear, sell, take your profits off the table, and then hopefully you can restart and time it again. That's the trader's mentality. Our view is accumulate wealth, extract value as you need it. There is a better way, and the tools to do it, they're already here. There are protocols like liquid loans that let you do exactly this. You lock up your asset, you borrow against it, and you pay 0% interest. Right? Yep, interest-free. Now, can you imagine the look on a bank manager's face when you've just told them that you're borrowing at 0% interest? And you repay, and here's the other thing, you repay when it suits you or not at all. It all comes back to the quality of the collateral that you're borrowing against. No banks, no KYC, no pesky bank manager, it's just you, your crypto, asset and code. And on fast chains like Base and Pulse Chain, this stuff isn't just possible, it's practical. These aren't experiments anymore. They're weapons for people who want to build real long-term wealth and not just hope for another bull run and hope that you time your exit. All right, let's talk about the one thing that you may be asking or thinking. What happens if the market tanks whilst you've taken a loan? Well, every protocol has what's called a minimum collateral ratio. In liquid loans, it's 110%. You need to think of it like your safety buffer. If the value of the asset drops too far, then the protocol automatically sells enough of your position to repay the loan. No drama, no margin calls, just smart code doing what it's programmed to do. Here's the upside. You get to keep what you've just borrowed. But you might lose some or all of the crypto that you've locked up. Now, is that ideal? Well, no, it's not. It's not ideal. But it's a hell of a lot better than panic selling at the bottom and then watching the chart bounce without you. Now, here's the good news. It's not how it needs to end. You control the risk. You borrow conservatively. You set alerts, and you top up your collateral if and when you need to. And most of all, don't get greedy. If you treat it like a system and not a slot machine, you stay in complete control. So let's just call it out. Most people don't go broke in crypto because they pick the wrong asset. They go broke because they sell out too soon. They get nervous, they need cash, they want to lock in those gains. And then they watch the same asset explode in value from the outside looking in. And whilst they're trying to time the next move, there's this quiet group of people doing something completely different. They're not chasing memes. They're not praying for green candles. They're not trying to outsmart the market. They're just holding, they're borrowing, and they're never selling. Everyone loves to talk about diamond hands. But my opinion is, what is the point of being good at holding on to something if you can't unlock some of its value? And it's just sitting in a wallet doing nothing. The smart folks, they don't hold, they hold with purpose. They put their assets to work without giving them up. So we need to ask ourselves, are we still playing crypto like a trader? Or are you starting to think like someone who actually wants to build long-term wealth? It's easy to say, hey, I'm in it for the tech, but when the price dips and bills come due, most people fold. The smart folks, they don't exit, they unlock by borrowing. Because this isn't about catching every move. It's not about timing tops. It's not about exit plans. It's about holding what you believe in and using it like the tool that it was meant to be. It's about unlocking value without letting go of your position. Let me give you another example that hopefully rings true for most people. We've all heard of people that have acquired property portfolios, right? Typically, they start with one property. They build up enough equity in that property so that they can borrow against it to acquire the next one, and so on and so forth. That's how they accumulate wealth. That's how they build wealth. It's no different in crypto. Obviously, not every asset's going to be the same, so some assets are more attuned to this than others, but that's how you build a portfolio. You never sell the underlying asset that potentially is appreciating in value. And imagine if you never had to sell and you can set up your business, help your family, back yourself without betraying your long-term belief in the asset that you hold. So you hold, you borrow, and you build. That's the edge, right? Hold, borrow, build. Folks, there's three things that I'd like you to take away from today. The first one is, please stop thinking about your crypto as something that you need to sell to extract value. Start seeing it as something that you can actually build real long-term wealth with. Secondly, use the protocols. They're already here. No banks, no need for permissions, just code doing what it's meant to do. And finally, play the long game. Hold, borrow, build. That's real wealth creation. And remember that friend of mine who sold a Bitcoin to pay off a car loan? She wasn't dumb, she was just early. She didn't have this playbook, but now you do. Hold, borrow, build. Don't exit, unlock. Never selling, no regrets, no more watching from the sidelines. Back to that friend of mine. She sold a Bitcoin to pay off that car loan. She didn't need to sell. She just didn't have the right tools. Now, if you're holding ETH today, you do. Liquid Loans is already available on Base right now. So if you want to access it, you can. However, we are launching a mobile app, and if you're interested in receiving notifications on that, please scan the code right now. It's up there on the screen. So get your phones out. I'll wait. Good to go. And finally, everything I've shared today, why selling costs you more than you think, how borrowing against your crypto actually works, and how the smartest investors are building wealth without ever having to sell the underlying asset. It's all in this book. Hold, borrow, build. Now, folks, if you're interested in obtaining a copy of the e-book of this, the e-version of this book, it's only going to be available for the first 100 registrations. So again, there is a code that you can scan right on the screen right now. Thank you, everyone. Don't sell, don't exit, unlock, hold, borrow, build. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Welcome to Signal Week.